What's that?
It'll be hot in the summer.
I'm gonna just live there during the winter.
Ah, so you're going to have two homes.
I'm gonna just rent in the Dominican, but yeah, that's
Got
the
it.
plan. Knock on wood. We'll see. That's
Sounds
the
good. Call me up
you
before you go,
gotta
Michael.
dream, right? You gotta dream. What's that?
Call me up before you go so I can give you all the medical advice about.
Deal. There'll be a spare bedroom.
No, I'm saying call me up before you leave so I can tell you what immunizations to get and protective measures
Oh,
to take.
Patricia, I want to dive into wins and just check on how your Dr. Oz progress is going before we.
Well, I am literally in the airport right now.
That's what I was wondering.
Yes.
Pretty exciting.
going
Yes.
to or coming from?
Going to.
Woo.
I fly out today. I'm in studio from 8:30 to 12:30 tomorrow morning.
Oh, awesome.
And then I fly out at 2:55 tomorrow evening. Or tomorrow afternoon. So it's kind of quick back and forth.
Whirlwind. Oh my gosh. Well, I've been
Exactly.
thinking about you a lot.
But when the travel is on their dime, they try to make it minimal. Like they're only allowing supper tonight and breakfast tomorrow. That's it.
Is it New
Hey,
York?
but
Is it New York where you
Yes,
film?
New York, that's where they're taping the Dr. Oz show. Yes.
Oh, exciting. Well, we'll be thinking about you for sure. Let us know on
Well,
Thursday how it goes.
I'm supposed to be on the speaker summit. I will literally be on the plane during the speaker summit this afternoon.
Oh,
So I'm going to miss that one. But I came to the
got it.
airport early so that I wouldn't miss this one.
Important. Well, anyone else want to share some wins, celebrations, things you've been working on? I mean, Patricia, if you have other ones you want to share, you could share too.
This is not related with the speaking, but with my breast cancer diagnosis, everything's coming up negative and I don't have to have another mammogram for 6 months. So that's to me is a win because
No kidding.
so I was excited about that.
That beats being on the Dr. Oz show. Way to go. That's big.
So
Oh
yeah,
my.
to me that's big, yes. And I was at my doctor's yesterday, and I'm a diabetic, and my hemoglobin A1C was 5.7. So I'm there saying anything
Way to
below
go.
6 is normal, as if you're not a diabetic. For if people don't know, so like I say, I'm super excited about what I'm doing with my health, so that I can be a quality speaker. So
Sounds
I
like
consider
2020
that a
is your
win.
year. 2020 is your year, Patricia.
Absolutely, the year vision.
Yes, I love it. Anyone else want to share? Yeah, Lisa.
So I was invited to be a guest this year at TEDMed, hopefully teeing me up for us talk the following year. So I'm excited about attending. I'll be hosted, so I'll be a guest there, and I'll get to really experience that venue, and hopefully then be able to be a presenter the following year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome.
And what did you call it, Lisa? TED what?
It's called TEDMed. It's one of the TED series. So instead of a TED Talk, TEDMed is focused on in medicine.
TED-Med. Got it.
Yeah.
That's new for me. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's very exciting. I've been to one before, and it's like being at a. If you're in my world, it's like being at Disney.
Yep.
It's just really exciting. Thank you.
So cool. What else do you guys want to share with us to kick off our Tuesday call? Yeah, Michelle.
So I had the opportunity to do a VIP day with David on Friday, which is actually mind-blowing and has completely turned everything I've been doing upside down, but in a really good way. So he's brilliant, and it was fun. And today I'm totally scared, and but it really was something else, I'll tell you.
Any details you want to share about it? I'd love to hear what kind of epiphanies you had, if you're feeling like you can articulate them.
Yeah, no, there's just a lot going on. Actually, you know what? One of the things that I've struggled with this whole time has been, what is my message and who is the target? So he just kind of said, okay, you should just target these three. And, you know, for me, it was leadership, sales, and like collaboration, relationship skills stuff, which sounds really, really good. It's a direction that I haven't had the right messaging around before. So it's exciting. But I've never targeted those industries like technical leaders or accountants or that kind of place. So just doing the research on how to go in that direction is overwhelming, but fun, but you know. So
Yeah.
what's interesting is that what I realized that David makes very clear, and it's clear in the SPF material too, but I think we all as speakers, it takes some time to get our head around it, is that what we think we're saying and what we think they need is not necessarily what they need. Or, you know, we think, oh, if we talk about all these great things we have, they don't care. They just want to know, can you solve my problem? And then tell me what the tool is. So I've had to really shift my mind around how I do that. A VIP day, Lisa, is like a one-on-one full day with him where you get David all day. So I was gifted that for my birthday. So that was really fun. Yeah. So yeah, it's really good. I've been working on the transition, so my brain is like really foggy, but it really, really is. He just sees what you do in a totally different way than you see it, potentially, which is good.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, sometimes just hearing it from the horse's mouth, you know, like we keep, you know, you're a problem solver, you are an expert that solves problems, and yet sometimes him just saying, look, Michelle, you're an expert that solves problems, what problem are you solving, is probably very, very helpful.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, I think sometimes you think, oh my God, how are they going to listen to me? But you know what? The strategies in SPF make 1,000% more sense now, even though they made sense before. So it's like, I wouldn't have done this the other way around. Like knowing this, then it's like, okay, so just work these strategies and this is how you do it. And it's like, okay, I know what that means now. You know, if I had kind of spoken to him without going through the course, then it would have taken a bigger learning curve to know what strategies to use and why they're effective. So it's the perfect transition, I think, at least for me. So I'm really happy with that.
Cool.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Michael, you're jotting stuff down. I don't know if you have a follow-up or not, or we just
No, thank you. Sometimes I just make notes, not only for follow-ups, but for myself for learning.
Sure.
So good stuff there. I just wrote down as a reminder for everybody, what problems am I solving? And then you can see in the chat, I wrote the WIIFM, what's in it for me, kind of validating what you said, Michelle, like, you know, this isn't about us. We need to speak in their language, regardless of what our own language is.
Yeah. And so just to follow up on the things that I was talking about on Thursday. So on Thursday, I'd said that I had that board director interview, which I had this morning, and that was for a coaching association, like athletic coaching. And so after speaking to David, I don't think that's the direction that I want to go, but I had booked that anyway. So I used it as practice.
Yeah.
which was good. But what was interesting too is that sometimes what I realized is that even if you get the wrong person, they're willing to help. Like he said, oh, I don't make the decisions on who the speakers are, but these guys do. And so then I was like, okay, thank you. So then I just looked those guys up. And if that was the direction, if I was going to continue to follow up in that arena, then now I know exactly who the decision makers are for that. And this guy was quite helpful. In fact, he talked, I asked one question and then he talked for 20 minutes. Sometimes they just like to talk and tell you. So I was like, okay, thank you. Now I understand what you think the challenges are, but I also know who the next person is. So even if you get the wrong person, most likely because they answered your call, they're going to direct you to the right person because they want you to succeed as well.
Succeed.
Yeah.
Exactly. I always like to say, like, if any one of you called me, like, I would want to help. And it's just, and vice versa. Like, if you guys get requests of like, hey, can you help me with this thing? Most of you are probably like, depending, like it, you know, depending on the scenario, but you're helpful people. It's just, I think about how often you guys have connected with each other and helped each other out. And technically you're all in the same industry. Like, it's just our desire to be helpful. So it's a really good lesson to learn.
Yeah. And, you know, the conference promoter had shut me down before. Like I said, he said, oh, we only hire sports people. But this guy didn't say that. He said, oh, we could really use communication strategy. It's just that, he goes, he's kind of said, go for it. But he's just like, you know, in the coaching world, they'd rather do skills than people skills. So you would have an uphill battle there. And I think that was kind of what David intuitively knew as well, saying that's not the place where they have, you know, the money for you can go do that for fun, but they don't go there as much as they probably should, which was kind of the message I got. But regardless, you know, going in through that board route also gets you a different perspective than maybe what the conference promoter's mandate is based on, you know, if somebody really likes you, then they can skirt that mandate potentially for you, which was interesting to realize as well. So
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing so many lessons there, Michelle.
you're welcome.
Anyone else want to share some wins, celebrations, learnings? Yeah, Martha.
So Stephanie and I had a great one-to-one last week where we just sort of unpacked the fact that I'm really comfortable talking with people, and that's one of my favorite ways to network and connect is to just talk. And so since I sort of gave myself permission to use the AIR strategy as a runway to turning those AIR calls into a warm prospect, I just started doing them this week, and I've already got 2 scheduled this week with 2 kind of big people. One is at IAPP, which is a web security company, and I want to work with tech people. So this is perfect for me, and it's a huge growing company locally. And then the other is with Tata, which is the largest corporation in India. I have a very good friend who's a corporate trainer there. He teaches yoga, mindfulness, meditation. And so I just reached out to him because he was wanting to chat with me as well last year. And so now I just feel like I have the strategies to actually talk with him and the languaging to actually talk with him, because I think before I thought, well, Tata's just too big for me. You know, it's huge. They have a whole Tata wing at Harvard down in Boston, which is just 1 hour from me. I mean, it's just an enormous corporation. And I think I was just kind of afraid to talk to him because I didn't know what I would say. And I didn't know how I was positioning my brand. But now that I've got those things, I'm just like using the AIR conversation to open the doors with some of these people that are in positions of influence. Like he's very good friends with the president of Tata.
There you go.
You know, and I don't think I ever would have had the guts to do that before going through these modules and being on these calls and, you know, being coached. So a lot of gratitude in that I'm just feeling braver.
So good. So good. Lisa, I see you nodding because I know you've said some similar things too in the past. So wonderful. And Martha, you've also had a lot of practice too before you've approached them. So I know that builds your confidence as you get some success with Liberty Mutual and other places. They just, you know, your confidence grows because people are receptive to what you're saying. So like, back on you, you're doing amazing.
Thanks. Yeah. And it also helps me to know I have this team that I can come in with, because I know questions will come up when drafting contracts and things like that. What I feel is this sense of support. I wouldn't even known, you know, sort of how to handle a company like Tata before, but now I feel like, hey, I could just reach out to someone in the group, or I can get on a call with Stephanie or ask a call in here about a proposal and make my way through it. So thanks again.
So cool. I wanna emphasize. Oh, Eric, do you have something to say? Yeah. Were you waving?
Go ahead and emphasize. I'll wait.
Okay. I just wanted to emphasize what you said before, Martha, about like that you really like talking to people. So you picked the strategies that involve talking as opposed to the writing ones, which weren't something that you were excited about. Whereas I know there's lots of people on this call who really prefer the writing ones and don't want to, talk to people all the time. So it's super important that there's a variety of strategies. Awesome work. Yeah, Eric?
Now, I just wanted to say, as it was a success, I apologize for coming late. I was coming off another call. Is that that elevator speech thing that we went through? I actually started using it on the phone. The first couple of times, I crashed and burned miserably, I must admit. But third time I did it, I got a new client. So I'm super energized to basically be continuing in that process with that's going to be part of my daily MMAs. So thank you.
Congratulations. Awesome work. Awesome. And hopefully the future ones, you're not crashing and burning. It'll still be a numbers game, but hopefully it's not crashing and burning. And the more you build the confidence and refine your language and stuff.
Yeah. Well, what I mean, is my language wasn't refined, is that I'm reading it off the page wrong, all that stuff when you start doing this type process. Yeah. But I've been using it verbally, so it was a little bit easier. But I sort of got the shtick down because it's a little bit cold call. It's sort of cold calling, but to the right researched people, and I seem to be resonating with it. So anyway, thank you for that.
Phenomenal. Well, let's move into our questions. That was a lot of celebrations today, you guys. You're killing it.
Martha, when staying in touch with active prospect, what's a reasonable time frame for emailing helpful and relevant content? Weekly? I would say weekly. I think you got it.
Yeah. Just thinking, Michael, of this proposal that's in the Liberty Mutual, I know they're going to be making a decision sometime this month. And so I just reached out to them towards the end of last week with a helpful article about women in tech and how important it is for them to find their voice. And I knew it was, synergistic with their mission as a group. And, but I also know I have a proposal on the table with them. So, what's considered like, hammering them versus just saying, hey, I'm here and I want to be supportive.
What is the next step with the proposal?
The next step is they are going to be in touch with me. So I didn't know enough when I met with them, which was very early in my participation in this course. And I didn't get the follow-up meeting, which I'm like going, man, I'm never going to miss that again. So the ball's in their court, but that's why I thought to continue to ping them would be helpful.
And so specifically how you left it with them is they're going to do what?
They're going to talk with other departments there's some other departments besides just their women in tech group that they think would help fund this training with me. So the proposal was for one-day training with them along with a co-instructor.
And then they're going to talk to the other departments and then
make a decision and get back to me.
And did they declare when they were going to make a decision by?
They hope to have it by the middle of this month. So like now.
Oh, okay.
That's why I thought I'd reach out to them last week.
Yeah. So just the reason I was kind of digging a little bit there for you, Martha, and for everybody, I think this came up last week too. Don't be, and not implying that you are, but Don't be bashful about being direct too. Hey, you mentioned that you were going to have a follow-up call for about this time.
Mhm.
Busy, I'm busy too. What do you say we go ahead and get a call on the calendar?
Great. So it's okay to
In other
just do
words,
that direct ask.
absolutely. Sending the value add is great, and there's no reason for you not to be direct in your follow-up.
Great.
Does everybody get that? I think sometimes we're a little bit afraid of being direct. It's not a bad thing. They mentioned they were gonna get back with you. They haven't yet, and so hey, when are we gonna let's get something on the books? It's not pushy or mean spirited or anything like that. Go ahead, Lisa.
I mean, this might be cutting it too finely, but I mean, should she really wait to the 15th, which is the middle of the month, to sort of give them the opportunity to fulfill their promise before?
I wouldn't, no, because
Okay.
I mean, you could. I mean, there's no right or wrong, but chances are by the time they reach out to you, then it's going to be another week to 10 days.
Right.
You actually get something scheduled, or it could be. So just don't be afraid of just, again,
Pushing the ball.
steward and pushing the ball down the field. Yep.
Yeah, so that's great. I think what I'll do is reach out to them tomorrow morning and also send them a video that I remembered from my course, which is, really helpful physical triggers for centering when you have performance anxiety. So I can say, here's my cool, centering video, which will help you with performance anxiety, and let's get something scheduled on the books to talk about the program.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
good.
and just full close on this, that's great. And don't feel like you always have to send something of value to follow up, right? I think because I see that as a potential sign of something else for you all, not just Martha. But if you're afraid to follow up, or you think you got to always be giving value, because somehow following up and getting a date on the calendar is some bad thing, then I would recommend we dig into that a little better. You do so with your coach, like what's going on in your mind for that you think that's a negative thing, because it just isn't, plain and simple.
Yeah, I love that. Maybe the value adds come before you, as we talked about last week, that sort of jab, right hook, The right hook doesn't need a value add. It's just,
Nope.
Here it is.
Yep, that's exactly right.
That's
So,
great.
and there's a difference between following up, like, hey, you said you were going to do this thing on this day, and now I'm following up. And there's a difference between that and keeping in touch, right? So the keeping in touch is the value. So like, let's say they say, hey, Martha, no, it didn't go through this time, but we really love what you do. Right. Then you have a keep in touch strategy that again also is like value. Hey, ask, like, hey, have things changed? It's like it can be direct. So I just think it's a little bit of a different paradigm. If you say you're going to call someone on a certain day, you can call them on a certain day. It doesn't like that is the follow up. Hey, I'm fulfilling my promise. That sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And they said they were going to be making a decision. They hoped to be making a decision by the middle of this month. So did the engineering company. So at this point, I think Michael's spot on. Yeah, I can just reach out, and I touched base with both those companies last week with value adds.
Perfect.
So now's the time to just follow up without all the other stuff. It's a great point, Michael. Yeah, thank you. It doesn't have to always be, let me keep giving you all my stuff. Good.
So.
Okay, so we have Shaun's question next. Morgan, I don't see it in the chat, but I believe it was about proposals. So Shaun, I just wanted to show you, and we'll talk about it, but I just wanted to show you in the Facebook group. Are you in the Facebook group, Shaun?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what I did was in the search bar here, if you just type proposals, Rod asked a really great question just before Christmas about them. There's some super good comments in there from Lisa. I've written some things in here too about templates. So for some reason I couldn't tag you. I tried to tag you.
I couldn't either. So I'm glad you asked him if he was in there, because Shaun, you might be in there as something other than Shaun.
I'm in there as my page, so it comes up Teach, Hustle, Inspire.
There's issues tagging the pages for some reason.
Yeah. So that's how you search for it anyways. If you just go to the search, if you go to the group and go to the search, Rod did a really great post on it. But essentially, so I'll stop sharing, but essentially, let me just see. Trying to turn a speaking opportunity into something bigger by request, consulting workshops. How do you write up a formal proposal without it being a long form sales page? So I guess the thing is, I don't see it that different from what you would have done for the speaking gig, in the sense that we always recommend that you have a conversation first, right? So you're going to have a conversation. You have the speaking gig, you're going to have a conversation with them about the next steps. Like, hey, it sounds like you need something bigger. Let's talk about what that could look like. So then you're going to go through with them, like brainstorm with them, find out what their problems are, what they need. And again, when you're writing a proposal, you don't want all this extra stuff that you haven't talked about in the proposal. So the proposal isn't meant to do a ton of heavy lifting. The conversation, it's a confirmation sort of what you've talked about in the conversation. Does that start to make sense there?
It does. And the conversation was pretty much had. It was just, I was now asked for it to be just written up. So I just was more so asking this as like a check to just make sure I don't leave anything out.
Yeah. So basically you're gonna have on the proposal, like the problems that you're helping them solve, right? Like this is the intention of our work together, the kind of the what's the word, the outcome, right? You can have in brief, depends on, I guess, how much detail they feel they need, but you can have in brief, like, this is what's going to be included from a logistics standpoint, and payment and cost and that sort of thing. It does not have, if they've already got all the buy-in, then it doesn't have to be like 20 pages long. It's not, unless they're asking for a contract, like a binding contract. So it's just kind of a proposal. It's just a summary of what you guys talked about, right?
Okay.
And then I would put it like in a nice template or something, with letterhead and your colors and things. But I'm just gonna quickly make sure I didn't miss anything, because I know I wrote some things. So what's it for them, the outcome, what's included, price, dates, not a contract, essentially. And then there's lots more in there. Any follow-up questions about that, Shaun?
No, not really. It makes sense.
And are they going to be using it to pitch it to other people? Is that part of their intention?
I was talking with the decision maker, and it seems it's more so just a formality.
Oh, okay.
For logistics or, processing purposes, if you will.
Okay.
So I just wanted to just make sure that I dot my I's and cross my T's to make sure I don't do anything to eliminate my opportunity here, if you will.
So, I mean, a good question to ask. Now I know this is past for you, but in the future, a good question to ask is like, okay, you want a proposal? What would you like in it? What do you need in this, so that I can make it exactly what you need for your documentation? So you can even ask them and kind of like write it with them on the call. Okay, so it needs this, it needs this, it needs this. Okay, awesome. I'll send that to you soon. So that would be just another way to deal with that.
Okay, thank you.
You are welcome.
Is the John question the next one?
Yes.
I'm looking at the queue here. John, I've reached out to healthcare organizations via email. I didn't get any responses yet, but I do have phone numbers. What is the best approach to contact someone about interviews? Cold call, another email, Pony Express, smoke signals. I like your humor, John, first of all. Tell us a little bit about what have you done? Give us a quick summary. How many healthcare associations have you reached out to? When? And what were the results?
Okay, so I've reached out to 15 to 20, and I have phone numbers for all those. The email I sent first is who hires speakers for your organization's events? Can you share their contact information with me? Which in the past is an email that works for me. I do get response from that, and I haven't gotten responses, that's not the issue so much. But I do want to start contacting people that head of those organizations about doing an interview with them. So I've sent that email to that person. But do I send another email? Do I call them up? And then if I call them up, what does that conversation look like? How do I start that conversation if they've got no reference for who I am?
Okay, so first, there's no right or wrong here. We've often talked in this class about reaching out to people in a number of different venue or methodologies, because you might find one that works for folks. So you tried email, absolutely continue to send emails, nothing wrong with that. I think following up with a phone call is also a great idea. You might see if you can find them on LinkedIn or Facebook, and reaching out that way. Different people respond in different ways. As far as the call goes, the key with calling is more often than not, you're going to get a voicemail. And so you want to practice your voicemail. Don't be surprised. You want to be ready to leave a good, succinct, clear voicemail. So that's just point number one. And point number two, if you do get them on the call, I think the message is kind of similar. Just be very, very precise and quick. So I've done this, I've called associations, and if you were to answer, "Hi, Mr. Nepper, my name is Michael Charest, and I'm a professional speaker. Are you the person that brings speakers into your organization?" Boom. That's how simple I would be, and then see what they say and then go from there. Is that what you're looking for, and is that helpful?
That's helpful, and the next thing I want to do is the whole interview idea. So I reached out as to who hires speakers, and I'll keep doing that. And can reference that email if I get them on the phone or voice message. But then if I want to have an interview with them, I work with organizations that are working to improve their ratings with quality patient care. I would like to do an interview for an article I'm writing that I will gladly share with you in the near future. Is that direct? And will that get me, what kind of response might that get me?
I like it. It's very specific. It's direct. So to be clear, you might ask them. I'm doing did you say I'm writing an article?
Yes.
Yeah. And how did you word it? Say it again?
I can never remember that stuff.
Yeah. And it's
on the recording, so you can go back and listen, John.
Yeah. I like the specificity of what you did. Hi, my name's John Neffer. Just be. My big thing is speak in sound bites, and they'll ask questions. So just be as short as you can without being evasive or anything. My name's John Nepper. I'm a professional speaker. I'm doing an article on blank. Are you the person that are you open to me doing an interview with you? And that's it. And then see what they say. Oh, tell me more, or no, I don't think it's me, or who are you? Or that's basically how it's going to go from there. So just be as short and direct and as simple as you can.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah. That's, by the way, that's just a general way to be, not only in your phone calls, if you get them live, but on your leaving messages and even your emails. Just be succinct and clear. when I write an email to somebody, literally, I was doing this the other day. I edit the email to make sure that the reader can see the whole email, including my signature on their screen. I don't even want them to have to scroll down. My thing is, if they have to hit that scroll button, then the email is too long. And I want them to see the second they open it, this is a quick email. I can do this quickly. A lot of people, I'm sure you can raise your hand if you're one of them. When you get an email where you can tell it's long, oftentimes you'll close it and you'll say, I'll deal with this later, but not if it's short.
Yeah, I like that rule about being able to see the whole thing in one screen. That's a good point. Yeah.
I just want to share something because I think it's kind of funny. I got this email from a client just a couple days ago. The title is Get Published in Forbes. And my client was like, does this seem legit to you? It's a super long email. It's very vague. At the very bottom, you can see like, and the price list, meaning you will have to pay to get published in Forbes. And it's super confusing. And she's saying like, oh yeah, I get published on Medium. Like everyone can get published on Medium, you know, stuff like that. So my point here is like, this is a ridiculous email that does not sound legit, basically. So John, if you can do your email in like short, short, concise, direct to the point, like sound legit, yeah, you're going to be well ahead of that email that I just got. So.
Can I ask one more question about email? I've used another person, like a third person, to reach out to companies. Is that a good thing? A no-no? Like I have a virtual assistant who is me with a different name. Is that okay to reach out to get the ball rolling that way?
Yeah. The short answer is yes. So it's one of those things where, again, it couldn't hurt to try both ways and compare and contrast the results you're getting. But I've often said that sometimes I think it's better. It positions you as a little bit higher level. You have an assistant. You're it's not just you. Not to say if you're doing it personally, that's a bad thing. There can be pros and cons to both. But I used to have my mom. She was my speaking booker. And she did it for me. We've got many clients in the group, maybe not many, but I'm guessing probably 20%. Steph and Morgan, you can probably attest to that have assistants doing their reach out for them. And I don't think the results are any less effective when you have somebody else do it.
Okay, great.
Does that answer your question, John?
Yeah.
Cool beans. You're welcome.
Okay. All right, Eric is, I think, our last question for today. So is there a good low-cost or free directory of professional associations that you would suggest? I've gone some Google searches and don't think I've been able to find a good one. Okay, so Michael's nodding. So I've got three things. I've got three things, Michael, and then if I miss anything, I'll let you add.
I didn't mean that I needed to answer.
Oh, okay.
I love that question.
No, it's a great question. Okay, number one, I'm going to, I'll give you two of our ways and a third way. One is we have the Intel engine. You've seen Morgan post about that a few times, probably in the Facebook group. It's very inexpensive. We've had a lot of clients using it. It's super amazing. It's just like a really robust Google search, essentially, with all these keywords and filters like built in. So really, really robust, powerful thing. Morgan, if you want to post the link for it, and I even have it if you've got it. There you go, samrichter.com/Newman. You've got, it's super good. Anyways, that's one search function. Two, and Michael and Morgan, tell me if you know the answer to this or anyone else in the group. I believe the people who bought David's book, the speaker, there you go, Lisa, you mentioned this. You're working through the list, right? So if you bought David's book, you can type in your receipt or whatever. So I know you got it, but Michelle, or Lisa, you actually bought it, right? So you got all the bonuses. So in the bonuses, there was a big list of associations. But third thing, literally, I just Googled it, Eric, and this Wikipedia article came up of a list of international professional associations. So I have not gone through the list. I have no idea how good it is, and obviously they're international, so there's some other stuff on there. But perhaps that can be helpful to you. Now, there probably are paid lists, right, Michael? I don't know all of the paid lists. There's if you want to fill in the gaps there, if you know any.
Yeah, well, and first I would suggest you do exactly what Stephanie pointed out. No sense in reinventing the wheel. It's right there for you. The only other thing I would add, there's a unbelievable book at the library. I think Amy pointed out the library, called the Encyclopedia of Associations. And it's actually 3 books about 6 inches high that lists 17,000 associations in the United States, and you can get them for other countries too, I believe. And it's all categorized under 6 main sections, like business, social, fraternal, religious. I forgot what the other couple are. That's kind of old school. I remember back in the day, I would go to the library and be photocopying pages of that book, and it was my living for the next 4 or 5 years. So, but yeah, they're out there. That's for sure. I mean, it can be overwhelming. So if you go that route, just take a deep breath and focus on your particular area. But it can also be very liberating to just see like how many there are. There's just no shortage of associations to be speaking to.
Does that answer your question, Eric? We just like spewed a bunch of things on you, but
No, that's good. That's good. I took some notes. I'm going to continue my search that way. Thank you.
I think I might have searched the word list instead of directory, and there were like tons of things that came up. And so maybe just adjust that keyword too.
Yeah, I've done some of those, but I was looking for sort of like an exclusive list, like sort of the kind that Michael's talking about. I found a couple of okay ones, but I just had this nagging feeling that someone was going to say, "Oh yeah, go here, and it's everything, and it's free, and it's all this, and it's So I figured now that I know that doesn't exist or probably doesn't, I'll continue what both Michael and you have said. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think Amy typed in again here. Just this, I'm not saying this does not exist. It might be. It's been a while for me, so it might be free. It might be online. So just do that. If I were you, after hanging up the call, just Google Encyclopedia of Associations, see what comes up.
Will do. Thank you.
This was Amy's job for a long time, so.
So doubly thank you, Amy.
She's amazing at this. Yeah. Okay, so that is the end of our question queue. And so since it's Tuesday, let's just spend a couple minutes. Michelle did a great job kicking us off on some of the things she's been learning lately at the beginning of the call. So anyone else want to point us in some interesting resources or some things that you've been working on, or that you'd like to just share with the group and kind of share knowledge pool here? Yeah, Lisa?
So I got a paper accepted by a journal, but the peer review was very interesting. One of the reviewers said that I didn't get the message right, that my assumption about something was wrong, which I thought to be very useful, a very valuable feedback. Sometimes when you get peer review, it's hit and miss. Sometimes people are just out to be grumpy, and sometimes they're very, very helpful. So, I have until 6 weeks till I have to refine it and update it, re-edit it, send it back. It'll get published this year. But, I wasn't expecting, it's almost like it was an air getting that kind of feedback. And so what I'm wondering is, about really launching, an informal or a formal research project by contacting an association and asking them if they would partner with me and asking their members a few questions on the topics that I'm interested in, to see if it would be valuable to them to let me sort of use their membership as the source and then they could take the information and do program with it or whatever. But that's what I'm thinking about.
That sounds really cool. Sounds like a great idea. It's similar to how some people will do interviews because they're writing a book, right? So you're conducting a research study. So you're going to do some interviews that way. Super effective. Yeah, let us know how that goes. That sounds great.
Thanks.
Leslie, what have you been learning lately that you want to share with us?
Okay, so that was actually what you just said. That's a great idea, because what I'm learning is that the topic, that my message is like, everyone keeps saying to me, ooh, that's really interesting. You're onto something. You're onto something. I'm like, damn, someone just bring me on to help them. Like, but I found out yesterday that what I have is actually has a name, and it's a newer research, and it's called psychoneuroimmunology. And so I think one of the issues I'm running into is I'm doing doctorate level work with only an RN. And I wanted to get your opinion, or anyone who's worked in healthcare. And I'm not sticking with healthcare, I'm doing the addiction codependency. But my feeling, and I've gotten validation in this area, Philadelphia at least, having only an RN behind my name does not help. It hurts, because of, in the industry, the more initials you have, it means the more you know and the more credible you are. So basically my credentials are not matching up to my knowledge. So when I go out to addiction and codependency, I'm wondering if I take the RN and not put that after my name.
Yeah, Lisa?
I don't buy in this concept, but at least in the bigger cities, Philadelphia, I know New York and Boston are the same way.
Okay. Yeah, Lisa has something to share.
So, hi, Leslie. I'm an RN also. I'm a nurse practitioner. In fact, in these days where just anybody could put any opinion out on the internet, if you don't put your RN, which I do think has a lot of credibility, JD Power and Associate always interviews people every year, the public every year, about who they trust, and nurses are always number one or number two, always, always, always. So even though you don't have the academic credentials beyond that, it really distinguishes you as a healthcare professional versus just anybody who's got an opinion about something. Now, in my work environment, I faced the ceiling because I didn't have a doctoral degree. So, I went back and got one, and it was tough, but I did it. And it opened doors that I would never have today. So
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm kind of, because Harvard had an incubator, and so it was a bunch of fellows, and I so would have been able to help them, but I didn't even hear back, and it wasn't even a paid position.
Yeah, at CDC where I worked, a master's degree was entry level, so
I know
world you're in,
Yeah. Can I talk to you later, because I'm interested in what you're studying?
Yeah, okay, absolutely. Yeah, just
thank
you. Private message with contact info.
Thanks. All right, thanks, guys.
John, were you going to add something? I don't know if you put your hand up. No? Okay. Anyone else have experience with this? I personally tend to agree with Lisa, and I don't think that the RN is just it doesn't just speak for itself. You have to make sure you're talking to the problems. You have to make sure you really understand the people you're talking with and what they need. So I think there's pieces to that as well. If your message isn't clear, then doesn't really matter what you do. I think it won't resonate. So it's important to have both.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, John?
Yeah, I do have something to say. I don't have any credentials in healthcare. I'm coming at it from more of a communications experience, creating relationships with people in a completely different area. So I'm not going to have any of those credentials. I think what Stephanie said is true. my message has to be on point and be really clear that people will resonate with. And I'm also a musician, and most of the time my credentials don't mean as much as if I show up and I can play the part when I get there. So I'm not sure the answer to that, because I'm not, I don't have any credentials in healthcare, but if your message is on point, I think that might be the best selling point.
The message is kind of new, and that's the problem. So that's why I steered away from healthcare, because it's something, it's taking a different, it's looking at a problem from a totally different angle. So it's been kind of telling them, okay, look, this is how it relates to the problem. And people listen, but they're just going, you know, it's a new concept. So.
Can you leverage an...
Oh, go ahead, Shaun.
Oh, no, I didn't mean to cut you off. Please continue.
Go ahead.
I was just going to mention, like, can you leverage something that's more familiar as an entry point to now introduce yourself as an expert in this topic, and you be the one that kind of, in everyone else's eyes, breaks ground with this new angle or approach to this information, if that makes sense?
Well, that's yeah, I think I understand. I was trying to do that, and that's why I submitted a new model for healthcare into Johnson & Johnson. I hadn't heard back from them yet for a challenge they had. And I think the problem I was having was more with nurses, not with maybe the C-suite executive. You know, it was with nurses themselves. And it wasn't actually even a problem. It was just I kept hearing, well, and you know, that I was doing doctor level research, and I'm going, okay, hold on, it's just not jiving with who I am, I think, is how I portray myself.
Yeah, Lisa?
And I don't.
So
Yeah.
just refine what I said before. I think you probably have more credibility with the non-medical people because of your RN.
Yes, that I 100%. I 100% buy in. I know that. All you have to do is say you're a nurse. I get that. It's with the nursing professionals themselves. And
that's your target audience?
It was. I switched. Now I'm going to addiction defense because I'm tired of banging my head against the wall. I had it was. It's not any longer. I figure if I need nurses, I'll get to them through the codependency route.
So maybe like Michelle had a transformation on who her target audience is.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Martha, what would you like to add?
This sort of reminds me of what we were talking about before, which is the S that Michael talked about, the SW to the fourth. Some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. I've been thinking a lot about that. And I think we can all run into areas within our own fields where we feel like, oh boy, maybe I need that next advanced degree. But in fact, there is a target audience that needs exactly what we have. Someone is waiting, and we don't have to. I mean, certainly if you want to work in the medical field, as Lisa has wanted to, and she got her PhD, she knew what she was going for and she went for it. But unless like that's what you absolutely have to do because you don't see any other place that you want to work, I would say look for that place where you're not pushing the boulder up the hill.
Well, I did, and what put a nail in that coffin to make me move was Johns Hopkins came out with a similar program as my healthcare model and the different phases, and it was like their future for the model was the same as mine. I thought, all right, you know what? There's no way in hell I can compete with Johns Hopkins.
Yeah.
You know, I was pretty impressed. I came up with one in a year. It took them a while for it, but then I thought, do I market this like to coaches, nurse coaches who need a and I thought, no, just walk away altogether. But
well, it's kind of the same thing for me. Like Dale Carnegie teaches public speaking, you know, and they're like they're sort of the flagship for that. But I'm sort of diving into the fact, well, so what? They can't service everybody that needs public speaking.
Right. Well, I didn't have the evidence-based research. That's really important for one of the second phase of the model. Because it was about the importance of feeling seen and heard. And I found tons of articles, but I didn't specifically on that. Because otherwise, this one woman who heads up program called the Futures in Nursing 2020. She was going to use.
So Leslie, I'm just going to stop you here, okay?
No, yes, I know it's getting off target.
But
okay.
But I think, so a couple of you've made some really, really good points that I think everyone should think about. So one, your credentials do matter. There are a lot of, what does David call them? I don't know, something about monkeys. You guys are really smart people. You have done a lot of work and study, and it's great to use that stuff. Second thing, like Martha was saying, you have enough within you, probably, without me knowing all of you, you have enough within you of knowledge and stuff to be of value to other people. I used to coach health coaches primarily, and almost every single one of them felt like, oh, now I have to be a personal trainer, now I have to be a yoga instructor, now I have to be a dietitian, now I have to be whatever. But no, it's not in fact true if you're gonna stay in your lane, right? And what was the third one? Anyways, so really, really good learning points for all of you. Your message is really important. And Marcia, on a previous call that we were in, also just to kind of to add the icing on this cake, she was facing a really similar thing that you were, Leslie, where a lot of you have really innovative ideas. Like, you're trying to do something new because you guys have cool ideas that are amazing. And a lot of times the market is it's not ready because they don't understand your new idea. So Marcia hit this. It sounds like Leslie's hitting this, and a lot of you are hitting this, where and like Shaun was saying, you have to present it in a way that they do understand, and then bring them along with you to the new amazing way. But if they don't understand the beginning, you're not going to get to that next part with them. So you have to really be on their level, like really, like Michelle was saying, like sometimes what we're saying is not what they're saying, there's a disconnect there. It's really, really important that you start with that sell them what they want and then give them what they need thing. Then as you build your reputation, you'll get referrals for that amazing thing that you're trying to bring that's new to the market. But unfortunately, the way of early adopters is like this. We've got to kind of get them to understand the idea in the first place. So at least in our world, there are lots of different ways to bring people on as early adopters, but they often involve huge lists and all sorts of cool stuff. So thank you all for really, really being so giving on today's call. You guys brought amazing insight to share with each other. Fantastic questions. Make sure to submit your questions ahead of time, spfquestion.com, so that Michael and I have some time to ruminate on them and give you the best possible answers. And you can also ask in the Facebook group too. So until Thursday, you guys know where to find us. Have a phenomenal rest of your day.
Have a great week. See you Thursday.
Bye.